They say one click can destroy a career, and Nia Jax just proved that theory in the most humiliating way possible. The WWE superstar's latest social media blunder has sent shockwaves through the wrestling community, and honestly, I'm furious about what this means for the future of sports entertainment. This isn't just about one wrestler's mistake, this is about a systematic problem that's destroying the credibility of professional wrestling, and I'm about to expose exactly why every single wrestling fan should be outraged by what happened. You think you know the full story? You don't know anything yet. What I'm about to reveal will make you question everything you thought you knew about social media, wrestling professionalism, and the complete lack of accountability in today's WWE. By the end of this video, you'll be as angry as I am, and you'll understand why this Nia Jax situation is just the tip of the iceberg in a much bigger crisis that's threatening to tear apart everything we love about professional wrestling. Let me paint you a picture of what happened, because the mainstream wrestling media is refusing to tell you the whole truth. Nia Jax, a woman who's supposed to be a role model for young fans and a professional representative of the WWE brand, made a mistake so catastrophic that it's still sending ripples through the industry weeks later. She accidentally posted private photos online, and within minutes, the wrestling internet exploded. But here's what's making me absolutely livid: this wasn't just a simple mistake. This was the result of a culture of carelessness that has infected modern wrestling like a disease. These wrestlers think they can just post whatever they want, whenever they want, without considering the consequences for their fans, their company, or the entire wrestling industry. The photos went viral faster than a Roman Reigns Superman punch, and suddenly every wrestling news outlet, every social media platform, and every fan community was talking about Nia Jax for all the wrong reasons. This is a woman who's supposed to be inspiring young girls to be strong and confident, and instead she's become a cautionary tale about digital responsibility. But what's even more infuriating is how some people are defending her, saying, "Oh, it's just a mistake, everyone makes them." No. That's exactly the kind of thinking that's destroying professional wrestling's credibility. When you're a public figure representing a billion-dollar company, you don't get to make innocent mistakes that embarrass your entire industry. Here's what really gets my blood boiling: this Nia Jax situation is just a symptom of a much bigger disease that's eating away at professional wrestling from the inside. These wrestlers have become so addicted to social media validation that they've completely lost sight of what it means to be a professional athlete and entertainer. Think about it: when was the last time you saw a wrestler maintain their character consistency across all their social media platforms? When was the last time you saw a heel who actually stayed in character online instead of posting behind-the-scenes photos with their supposed enemies? The line between reality and kayfabe has been so blurred by social media that fans don't know what to believe anymore. And don't even get me started on the complete lack of social media training that WWE provides to their talent. These are multi-million-dollar performers who are given access to platforms that reach millions of people worldwide, and apparently nobody thought to teach them basic digital responsibility. It's like giving a loaded gun to a child and then acting surprised when someone gets hurt. The Nia Jax incident proves that WWE has failed its performers and its fans by not establishing clear social media guidelines and consequences. How many more embarrassing incidents do we need before someone in Stamford wakes up and realizes that their talent's online behavior directly impacts the company's reputation and stock price? You want to know what's really making wrestling fans angry about this whole situation? It's the blatant hypocrisy from WWE and the wrestling media. When male wrestlers make social media mistakes, they get suspended, fined, or even fired. But when it's someone like Nia Jax, suddenly everyone wants to be understanding and forgiving. Remember when Big Cass got released partly due to his social media behavior? Or when WWE came down hard on other wrestlers for much less serious online infractions? But now, when a female wrestler makes a mistake that potentially damages the company's family-friendly image, we're supposed to just brush it off as a learning experience. This double standard is insulting to wrestling fans who expect consistency and professionalism from their entertainment. Either social media mistakes have consequences for everyone, or they don't matter at all. You can't pick and choose based on who's involved or what's convenient for the company at the time. And let's talk about the media coverage, or should I say the lack of proper coverage. Most wrestling news outlets buried this story or gave it minimal coverage, probably because they're afraid of being labeled as attacking a female wrestler. But that's not journalism, that's cowardice. The wrestling media has a responsibility to hold all wrestlers accountable, regardless of gender, popularity, or corporate politics. The fact that this incident didn't result in immediate consequences sends a dangerous message to other WWE performers, that social media responsibility is optional, that professionalism is negotiable, and that as long as you're valuable to the company, you can get away with embarrassing mistakes that would end other careers. Here's something that's absolutely enraging me about this whole situation: the impact on wrestling's younger fanbase. Parents spend their hard-earned money on WWE tickets, merchandise, and streaming subscriptions because they believe wrestling provides positive role models for their children. Then incidents like this happen, and suddenly parents are having uncomfortable conversations with their kids about things they never expected to discuss. Nia Jax has been positioned as a strong female role model, someone who stands up to bullies and represents body positivity in an industry that often prioritizes appearance over substance. Young girls look up to her, buy her merchandise, and try to emulate her confidence. How do you think those girls and their parents felt when this incident became international news? WWE markets itself as family entertainment, but then they allow their performers to engage in behavior that directly contradicts that image. You can't have it both ways. Either you're a family-friendly company that holds your talent to appropriate standards, or you're an adult-oriented entertainment company that doesn't care about public perception. This wishy-washy approach is destroying wrestling's credibility with mainstream audiences. The worst part is that this incident will be used by wrestling critics and mainstream media to further stereotype wrestling fans and wrestlers as unprofessional, immature, and lacking in basic social skills. Every time wrestling tries to break into mainstream acceptance, something like this happens and sets the industry back years. And let's be honest, this isn't just about Nia Jax anymore. This is about every wrestler who thinks their personal social media accounts exist in a vacuum separate from their professional responsibilities. Every inappropriate post, every controversial tweet, every private photo that becomes public damages the entire wrestling industry's reputation. What's making me absolutely furious is how WWE management is handling this situation. They're acting like this is just an isolated incident that happened to one wrestler, when in reality it's a systemic failure of corporate oversight and responsibility. WWE executives collect millions of dollars in salaries and bonuses, but they can't be bothered to implement basic social media training and monitoring for their talent. Let me break this down for you. WWE is a publicly traded company worth billions of dollars. Their wrestlers are independent contractors who represent the company brand 24/7, whether they're in the ring or posting on Instagram. When a wrestler makes a social media mistake, it doesn't just affect them personally, it affects stockholders, sponsors, television partners, and the entire corporate structure. But instead of taking responsibility for this failure of oversight, WWE just hopes these incidents blow over without any real consequences or changes. They'll issue a generic statement about learning from mistakes and then continue operating exactly the same way until the next embarrassing incident happens. This corporate cowardice is exactly what's wrong with modern wrestling. Instead of leadership, we get damage control. Instead of accountability, we get excuses. Instead of real change, we get empty promises that nothing will improve until the next scandal forces their hand. The fact that WWE doesn't have a dedicated social media team monitoring and advising their talent is absolutely inexcusable in 2025. Every other major entertainment company has recognized that social media is a critical component of brand management. But WWE apparently thinks they can just let their performers run wild online and hope for the best. This Nia Jax incident represents everything that's wrong with modern wrestling culture, and it's making longtime fans like me question whether we want to continue supporting an industry that's lost its way. We're living in an era where wrestlers care more about their Instagram followers than their in-ring performance, where social media drama generates more headlines than actual wrestling matches. The lack of professionalism is spreading like a virus throughout the entire wrestling industry. When established veterans like Nia Jax make these kinds of mistakes, it sends a message to younger wrestlers that social media responsibility is optional. We're creating a generation of performers who think they can say and post whatever they want without consequences. And here's what's really terrifying: this incident proves that wrestlers have no understanding of how social media actually works. They think they can delete a post and make it disappear, but they don't realize that screenshots, caches, and viral sharing mean that nothing truly disappears from the internet. One careless moment can become a permanent part of their digital legacy. The wrestling business used to be built on protecting the mystique and maintaining character integrity. Now wrestlers are so eager to show their authentic selves online that they're destroying the very illusions that make wrestling entertaining. Why should fans care about storylines and character development when wrestlers are constantly breaking character on social media? This erosion of professional standards isn't just affecting individual wrestlers, it's changing how the entire mainstream media and entertainment industry views professional wrestling. We're being seen as less legitimate, less professional, and less deserving of respect because incidents like this confirm every negative stereotype about wrestling and wrestlers. The most infuriating aspect of this entire situation is the complete lack of accountability from everyone involved. Nia Jax made a mistake, WWE failed to prevent it, the wrestling media barely covered it, and fans are expected to just forget about it and move on. This is exactly the kind of attitude that's destroying professional wrestling's credibility. When other entertainment industries face similar scandals, there are real consequences. Actors lose movie roles, musicians lose record deals, and athletes face suspensions and fines. But in wrestling, we just shrug our shoulders and say, well, that's wrestling for you, as if being unprofessional is somehow part of the industry's charm. This acceptance of mediocrity and lack of standards is killing wrestling's potential for mainstream growth. Why would major corporations want to sponsor wrestling events when they can't trust that wrestlers will maintain professional standards? Why would television networks invest in wrestling programming when they can't predict what kind of embarrassing headline will dominate the news cycle? The Nia Jax incident should have been a wake-up call for the entire wrestling industry to implement better social media policies, provide comprehensive training for performers, and establish clear consequences for violations. Instead, it's being treated as just another day in the wrestling business. This lack of accountability extends beyond just social media issues. It's symptomatic of a broader problem where wrestling companies prioritize short-term profits over long-term industry health. They'll exploit controversy for ratings and attention, but they won't invest in the infrastructure and training needed to prevent future problems. Here's what's making me absolutely livid: the solution to this problem is so obvious that even a casual wrestling fan could figure it out, but the wrestling industry is too stubborn and cheap to implement it. Every wrestling company needs mandatory social media training, clear guidelines, regular monitoring, and real consequences for violations. But instead of investing in professional development and digital literacy training, wrestling companies would rather just hope their performers figure it out on their own. They'll spend millions on elaborate entrance stages and pyrotechnics, but they won't spend a few $1,000s on social media consultants who could prevent embarrassing incidents. The technology exists to monitor and filter social media content before it goes live. Other entertainment industries use these tools to protect their brands and their performers. But wrestling companies act like social media is some mysterious force that can't be controlled or managed. We need wrestling schools and training programs that include comprehensive social media education alongside traditional wrestling training. Young wrestlers need to understand that their online presence is just as important as their in-ring skills. They need to learn about digital permanence, brand management, and the legal implications of their online behavior. But the wrestling industry's resistance to change and modernization means that these obvious solutions will probably never be implemented. They'll continue to react to problems instead of preventing them, and wrestlers like Nia Jax will continue to make embarrassing mistakes that damage the entire industry's reputation. This brings me to the most important question facing professional wrestling today: can the industry survive and thrive in the digital age if it refuses to adapt to social media realities? The Nia Jax incident is just the latest example of how wrestling's outdated approach to digital communication is holding back its potential for growth and mainstream acceptance. Wrestling companies need to stop treating social media as a separate, optional component of their business and start recognizing it as a critical element of modern entertainment. Wrestlers' online personas should be as carefully crafted and managed as their in-ring characters. Their social media content should support and enhance their storylines, not contradict or undermine them. The future of wrestling depends on finding the right balance between authenticity and professionalism, between personality and brand management, between creative freedom and corporate responsibility. But achieving this balance requires investment, training, and a fundamental shift in how the industry approaches digital communication. If wrestling companies continue to ignore these issues and hope they'll resolve themselves, we're going to see more incidents like the Nia Jax situation. And each one will make it harder for wrestling to be taken seriously as a legitimate form of entertainment that deserves mainstream respect and support. The choice is clear: either wrestling evolves to meet the demands of the digital age, or it gets left behind by entertainment forms that better understand how to navigate modern media landscapes. The Nia Jax social media incident isn't just about one wrestler's mistake, it's a symptom of systemic problems that are threatening the future of professional wrestling. The lack of accountability, the corporate irresponsibility, the media hypocrisy, and the fan apathy are all contributing to wrestling's declining credibility and mainstream acceptance. This is why I'm demanding that wrestling fans stop accepting mediocrity and start demanding better from the companies and performers they support. We deserve professional standards, consistent accountability, and real consequences for violations of basic digital responsibility. What do you think? Are you as angry as I am about this situation? Do you think wrestlers should be held to higher standards on social media? Should WWE face consequences for their lack of oversight? How can the wrestling industry fix these problems before they destroy everything we love about sports entertainment? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more honest, unfiltered wrestling commentary that isn't afraid to call out the industry's biggest problems. The wrestling world needs to hear from fans who care about the future of this business, and your voice matters in this conversation. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.